Hello friends, good evening to all of you, and we are going to cover the case study questions for the basics of the foreign exchange. So let me start with a very basic concept. Let's say we are to calculate the 2-month forward rate. We are to calculate the 2-month forward rate and we are to calculate this 2-month forward buying rate, let's suppose. Okay, so we will be covering two questions. One, it is related to that 1 USD the price is given to be 92.14/32 and 2-month forward points are given to be 18/22. So what will be the 2-month forward buying rate? Do answer at the earliest. We have already covered these concepts in the previous sessions. I hope that you must have watched the video. So as to cover all the topics, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell notification icon so that you get updated. After the live session, the classes will be available just for the premium members. So make sure to download our application at the following link, iibf.info/app. And if you're iOS user, you need to enter the ORG code, which is GEGKT. GEGKT is the ORG code that you need to enter. So let's focus on this particular question. It says the 2-month forward buying rate we need to calculate. And USD price is given. This is a spot rate. If nothing is mentioned, the rate is given. It means the spot rate is given to you. And 2-month forward buying rate, forward points and selling rate forward points are given to you. What is the formula for the forward rate? It is spot rate plus minus premium or discount. And from where we can be checking that the currency is available at premium or discount? From where we can check? So as to check the currency is available at premium or discount, we should be looking at the forward points. Now the trend from left to right is increasing. It means the currency is available at premium. Or simply I told you that the forward points on the left side are related to the buying forward points. Forward points on the right side are the selling forward points. And if the selling forward points are greater than the buying forward points, it indicates that we are having the currency available at premium. The currency is available at premium. Okay. And if the currency is available at premium, the forward points are to be added up. And we are to calculate the buying price, buying rate. So this is a buying cost and this is a selling cost. So the buying spot rate is equal to 92.14 plus forward points. The buying forward points are 0.18 or 0.18. These forward points are to be added up. So that would be the answer. So it is 3292. So this is the answer, 92.32. This is the 2-month forward buying rate. Clear with it? Now let's solve one other question related to it. Let's just solve one other question related to it, and that is from the perspective of a customer. Before solving the question or the case study ahead, we are to solve a question based upon it. Let's have a look at it. So let's take the case that you are provided with that B wants to sell. B wants to sell 10,000 USDs, right? B wants to sell 10,000 USD, and further the exchange margin, which would be applicable, the fees that the bank will be deducting is 0.15%. It is 15 paisa, or we can say 0.15% it is given to be. And 1 USD is equal to 89.32/42. This is a spot rate which is given to you. And further, 1-month forward points are given to be 22/25. That is also given to you. Now we are to calculate that how much money will be credited to the person B's account, or how much amount person B will be getting, right? So we are to calculate this particular amount balance. Now, how we can be calculating? Now, first of all, try to understand the part. What rate would be applicable? It would be the merchant rate which will be applicable, or it will be the interbank rate or interbank market rate which will be applicable. Which rate will be applicable here? A is for the merchant rate, B is for the interbank market rate. Do confirm at the earliest that which rate will be applicable in this scenario. Just do answer. A is for the merchant rate and B is for the interbank market rate. It is a merchant rate that will be applicable. Merchant rate will be applicable. Why? Because B want to sell and B is not a bank, it is not given. So B is what? B is a customer. And when the customer is dealing with the bank, what rate would be applicable? It will be the merchant rate that will be applicable. Now we have to consider the rates from the bank perspective. Now B want to sell. B wants to sell. So B will be able to sell at the price at which the bank is ready to buy. At which the bank is ready to buy. So we'll be looking for the buying cost. We will be looking for the buying cost. So here the price is given, the spot rate is given, and this is the buying rate. This is the selling rate. Very much easier. Now we are interested in buying cost from the bank side. So 1 USD is equal to 89.32. It is 89.32. Okay. Now, are we to consider this forward rate? This forward points? Are these points are to be considered? Yes or no? Any idea? Any guess related to it? Any lame guess or any type of guess related to it? The point is, no. These forward points are not to be considered, keeping in mind the forward points are applicable when the transaction is going to be settled at some future date after the spot rate settlement. Then only the forward points would be applicable. Otherwise, the forward points are not to be considered. Otherwise, we are not to consider the forward points. So here, these forward points are not to be considered. Because why? When we will be selling the USDs, we will be getting the credit on the same day. I told you in the previous lecture, if your transaction day debit and the debit and credit, if that is happening on the same day, in that scenario, the TT rate would be applicable. It will the telegraphic transfer rate would be applicable. And in case if there is delay between the debit and credits, in that scenario, the bills rate would be applicable. So here the TT rate would be applicable. And what TT rate? Which cost is to be given? It is a buying cost is to be given. Buying cost by the bank is to be given. So it will be the TT buying rate which will be applicable here. Get to know that how we can be identifying that what rate would be applicable. First of all, we get to know that the transaction is being debited and credited on the same day. There is no lag in between. So in that scenario, the telegraphic transfer rate would be applicable. And what quote is to be given by bank? That will be deciding that it will be TT buying rate or the TT selling rate. Now the quote which was to be given by the bank was the buying rate. So the TT buying rate would be applicable for this particular scenario. Clear so far? So if you're clear with this concept, make sure to like this video if you're preparing for the CAIIB BFM. Okay, so it is a TT buying rate which is applicable and no forward points are to be considered. And just keep one thing in mind. Just keep one thing in mind. Whenever we are talking about the buying rates, whenever we are talking about the buying rates, whether it is a TT buying rate or the bills buying rate, the exchange margin is to be subtracted. The exchange margin is to be subtracted. So the price is 89.32 minus the exchange margin of 0.15%. It is not 0.15 paisa as it is. It is 0.15%. So it would be 89.32 minus 0.15%. So it is 89.186, or we can say it is 89.19 if we are to round it off to the second digit, to the second decimal part. Okay. So this is the price. And for the multiplied by 10,000. So multiplied by 10,000. So it is 89. If I'm considering all the decimal parts, then it is 891,860. This amount will be credited to the person B's account now. This amount should be credited to the account of person B. Okay. Clear with the concept? So I told you about the concept related to the what rate would be applicable, and we basically looked into that either the merchant rate is applicable or the interbank market rate is applicable. We looked at the question that the customer is dealing with the bank, so it is a merchant rate which would be applicable. That was the first point, first logic. Second logic, the bank wants to buy. Why? Because the customer want to sell the USD, and now the merchant rate is applicable. So we are to look from the bank perspective. So the customer will be able to sell at a price at the which the bank is ready to buy. So it will be the buying cost which will be given by the bank. So we are looking at the buying cost. 89.32 is to be taken. Further, the next concept. Now the transaction is happening on the same day. The debit and credit of the transaction are going to be there on the same day. There is no lag because nothing else is to be done. The bank will be keeping the USD with it and will be giving the credit of in INR to the customer. Simple as that. So in that scenario, no lag will be there. So it will be the TT transaction. It will be the TT transaction. And we already know that the cost which will be given by the bank is the buying cost. So it's a TT buying rate which will be applicable. And whatsoever the buying rate is there, the exchange margin is always to be subtracted. That's why we subtracted this 0.15% from the spot buying rate, of 89.32. And we got the answer as 89.19. Further, we multiplied it with 10,000 so as to get the final answer, which is 891,860. So this is the total amount after adjusting the exchange margin, which is to be credited to the person B's account. Now let's move toward the case study question that's also related to the TT buying rate. Now, how we are going to identify if the transaction is TT transaction or not? TT means what? TT means telegraphic transfer. It means telegraphic transfer transaction. If there is no lag between the transactions, then it is a TT transfer transaction, telegraphic transfer transaction, right? And in this scenario, just let's have a look at the question. It says bank XYZ received a money transfer of USD 10,000. So bank received the money transfer amounting 10,000 USD already credited to the Nostro account. The amount is already credited to the Nostro account. The transaction has already happened and the bank has received 10,000 USD already. Now the bank is just to calculate the amount and is to credit the customer accordingly. That's it. Now, would there be any gap or any lag between the debit or credit? No. Debit and credit can be there on the same day. So it will be the telegraphic transfer rate which would be applicable. We just got to know from the very first line that the TT rate would be applicable, but we don't know that what rate is to be given. What cost will be given by the bank. Okay. Now it says what amount will be paid to the customer. Now we know one point, that what rate would be applicable because the bank is going to deal with the customer. So it is a merchant rate which will be applicable. Merchant rate will be applicable and we are to think from the customer point of view. No, we are to think from the bank's point of view, from the merchant point of view. And in that scenario, the price is given to be, spot rate is given to be 76.30 slash 45. This is a price which is given to you. This is a buying rate. This is a selling rate given to you. And customer received 10,000 USD actually. The amount was credited to the bank account, Nostro bank account of the bank. But amount is basically related to whom? The amount belongs to the customer, not to the bank. So customer now wants to sell 10,000 USD so as to convert it into INR. Getting it? So that is to be done. So customer want to do what? Customer want to sell, and customer will be able to sell at a price at which the bank is ready to buy. So what rate quote will be given by the bank? It will be the buying quote. It will be the buying quote which will be given by the bank, right? So what rate would be applicable? It is a TT buying rate which will be applicable. TT buying rate which will be applicable. Now we are clear. Even if this is not given in the statement above, we can be deciding, we can be getting to know about it, right, from the question itself, that what rate would be applicable. Okay, so here we are provided with the spot rate. Here we are provided with the spot rate. The buying quote is given, the selling quote is given. So we are to consider the buying quote now. So it is 76.30. Further, it is given that 1 month forward differential is given, but now it is TT rate. The forward points are not to be considered. Exchange margin is given to be 0.10%. So in case of the buying rate, buying quote, the exchange margin is always to be subtracted. So 0.10%, that is to be subtracted anyway. This is the exchange margin. So this is a very important rule that you should be knowing, that you should be considering from the exam point of view. So whenever it is a buying rate, whenever it is a buying quote, the exchange margin is to be subtracted. And whenever it is a selling quote, the exchange margin is to be added up. Getting it? So in this scenario, we are to subtract it. So it is 76.30 minus 0.1%, that is 76.2237. And we want to basically calculate that what amount will be credited to the customer account. And 10,000 USD balance was received. So it is 76.2237 multiplied by 10,000 USDs. So that is 762237 rupees. So this amount will be credited to the customer's account. Now, if I draw a graphical representation of the same, let's consider the person A is here, and this is the bank XYZ, and Nostro account is something, let's say the foreign currency account which is maintained by the XYZ bank in the other country bank, right, in foreign currency. Let's say here is a bank PQR in other country, and here a foreign currency account is maintained by the bank XYZ. So that will be Nostro account for the bank XYZ. Now the amount rupees USD 10,000 is credited to this account. That amount belongs to person A, and person A now wants to sell the USDs, and person A will be able to sell at a price at which the bank is ready to buy. So it is a buying quote which will be given by the bank to the customer. Okay, so that's the case related to it. I hope that you must have understood the question well here. That was a first case study, and after that it's about the question 2, question number 2. So it clearly says now that on 26th of March 2024, on 26th of March 2024, your customer has presented to you their bill of USD 50,000 drawn on party in USA, and request you to purchase the same. So it's about the bill purchasing. So what is the process related to the bill purchasing? The process is quite simple. Let's say person A, who is our customer, is the exporter, right? And he basically exported the goods to person B, who is residing there in USA. And person E sold the goods on credit to person B, but the person B has not paid the amount yet. So we basically draw a bill of exchange on the person B. So person A is going to be the drawer of the instrument, and it is drawn on the person B, who is the debtor. So the person B is the debtor who is to repay the money, and he is the drawee on whom the bill is drawn. So person A drew the bill on person B. Okay. So bill of exchange is a unconditional order by the drawer to the drawee so as to repay the amount on demand or otherwise as per the tenor of the instrument. Okay. So the bill is to be accepted by the person B, who is the drawee, who is the debtor, who is the importer. Okay. And after the acceptance of bill, the bill will be returned to the drawer. The bill is returned to the drawer. Now, the drawer wants the liquidity. The drawer wants the liquidity. So person A went to the bank and asked the bank XYZ so as to discount it or so as to purchase it. It's just about the nomenclature. Because when we're talking about the usage bill, the term is used related to discounting the bill. The term is used related to discounting the bill. But when we're talking about the demand bill, the term is used related to purchasing the bill. So it's a different nomenclature, right? Demand bill, which will be repaid when it will be presented, and the usage bill, where is a fixed tenure which is given or credit period is given over there. Okay, so it's about it. Or let's say a future due date is given. That's a usage bill of exchange. Now in this scenario, they say it's about the purchase. It means we are dealing with the demand bill of exchange. We are dealing with the demand bill of exchange here. So the person A basically sold this bill to the XYZ, and XYZ purchased this bill, and immediately a liquidity amount will be given to person A. And on the due date, or let's say if it's the case of the demand bill, the bill will be presented to person B, but it's going to take some time because B is in some other country, is not in the same country, right? So XYZ is in the hometown of A and B is in other country, and XYZ bank through its correspondent bank will be presenting this bill to person B, and on presentation the amount will be repaid by the importer to the XYZ bank here. So that is a whole scenario. Now in this scenario, we can just be looking at that the bill won't be cleared on the same day. There will be a lag between it. There will be a lag in between. So that's why the TT rate won't be applicable. And what rate would be applicable when there is a lag? It's the bills rate which will be applicable. It's the bills rate which will be applicable. But we don't know that what court will be given. No, once you get to know about the question, it's about the who was the owner of these USDs. 50,000 USDs. Who was the owner? Person A was the owner, who is a customer to the bank, right? And person A basically want to sell these USD to the bank in a way, right? So it's just like that person A want to sell the USD, and it's a merchant rate which is applicable because the bank is dealing with the customer. So the customer A will be able to sell these USDs at a price at which the bank is ready to buy. So what quote will be given by the bank? It's a buying quote which will be given by the bank. It's a buying quote which will be given by the bank to the customer. So it will be the bills buying rate which will be applicable. And whenever we are talking about the buying rate, bills buying rate or bill selling rate, the forward rate points would be applicable. Yes or no? Yes, those are to be applicable in this scenario. Why? Because We are going to get the value today, but the bank is going to discount that particular value after some particular time of period. So bank will be giving us the value as per the contracted value after that particular tenor. Okay. So in this scenario, the question says that the spot rate is given, and further that 1 month forward rate is given, and transit period is 20 days, and exchange margin is 0.15%, and transit period to round it off to the higher month. It is to be rounded off to the higher month. The transaction took place on 26th of March. And after 20 days, if we consider 20 days, then the date would be 15th of April. It will be 15th of April, which is basically the next month. And they say that the transit period is to be rounded off to the higher month, right? To the higher month. And that's why we have to consider 1 month forward rate here. We have to consider 1 month forward rate here. So this is a spot rate which is given to us, which is spot price is given to be 72.30/40. This is a buying forward, buying points, buying quote, and this is a selling quote. And what quote is to be considered? It is a buying quote which is to be considered. So it is 72.30. That is a buying rate, which is a buying rate that is to be considered. And further after that, the forward points are given, and the forward points are given to be 0.40, 0.50. Now the points are increasing from left to right. So it's a case that the currency would be available at premium. And whenever we say the currency is available at premium, the forward points are to be added up. So it is the buying forward points to be considered. So 0.40. These forward points, because the currency is available at premium, those are to be added up. So it is 72.70. This is 72.70. But keep in mind the exchange margin is also applicable. The exchange margin of 0.15% is also applicable. So it is plus 0.15%. That is to be added up. So 72.7 plus 0.15%. So it is 72.80905. This price would be there. This is a price according to which the bill is to be purchased. The bill will be purchased at this point, right? So that's the case. So what amount will be given to the customer? It is 72.80905 multiplied by 50,000 USDs. Multiplied by 50,000, and that is 36,40,452. This amount is to be credited to the exporter's account. Okay. So this was a clear case related to the bills buying rate. So what formula would be there related to bills buying rate? Very much easier to calculate. Spot rate plus minus either the forward points are to be added up if the currency is available at premium, or these are to be discounted if the currency is available at discount, right? And further, we are to subtract the exchange margin, because I told you the clear point. If the transaction is related to the buying transaction, then the exchange margin is always to be separated. It doesn't matter if it is a bills transaction or the TT rate transaction. If it is the buying rate, then in that scenario, the exchange margin is to be subtracted. It is to be subtracted. And what will be the formula related to the TT buying rate? What will be the formula related to TT buying rate? Very much easier. It was simply the spot rate, and the forward rate points are not to be considered, and minus the exchange margin. That's it. This is a simple formula related to it. Even you don't need to cram the formulas. You just should be knowing the formulas, knowing the logic behind it. You should just be knowing the logic behind it. And after that, the question says an importer has requested something. The third one, importer has requested you to issue a demand draft on USA for 50,000 USD. Spot rate is given, exchange margin is given. How much amount is required to be paid by the customer, by the importer? So let's say we are having a importer, person A, who wants to remit 50,000 USDs by way of issuing the demand draft. And he basically came to the bank XYZ, right? And XYZ bank is basically maintaining a correspondent account with the bank PQR in the other country, in USA, let's say. And here the bank is maintaining an account which is said to be the Nostro account. That is our account with you. It's a foreign currency account which is maintained by the Indian bank in the foreign country. Okay, with in foreign currency. So the bank will be doing what? The bank will be debiting their Nostro account and will be issuing a demand draft to the customer. But if you look at the very basics, if you look at the very basic of this question, person A want to remit what? Person A want to remit 50,000 USDs. 50,000 USDs are to be remitted. Only possible if the person A is having in possession 50,000 USDs, right? And person A is having the money in INR, because we want to say na, that what amount is required to be paid by the customer. So person A is having INR and person A wants to buy USDs. The person A wants to buy USD. So what rate is applicable? It's a customer who is dealing with the bank. So the merchant rate is applicable. Now you should be knowing clearly that what rate is applicable. It is a merchant rate which is applicable. Now the person A would be able to buy at a price at which the bank is ready to sell. So the bank will be giving what quote? The bank will be giving the selling quote. The bank will be giving the selling quote. Clear with it? So we have to consider the selling quote. Now, just tell me, it's a TT rate or the bills rate which will be applicable here? It will be the TT rate. Why? Although it is written here, but even if it is not given to you, you can be getting to know about it. How come? You just know that the account is to be debited. The Nostro account is to be debited and the demand draft will be issued. So the debit and credit will be done on the same day. So the demand draft will be issued on the same day. No lag in that. And if no lag is there, then the TT rate is applicable. And in TT rate, there is no rule related to the forward points. Simple as that. So the spot rate that we know, it is given to be 76.32 slash 48. This is the buying quote. This is the selling quote. And we have to consider which one? We have to consider the selling quote, because the bank is to give the selling quote, right? So we know by now that what rate is applicable. It is a TT selling rate which is applicable. TT selling rate is applicable, that we basically know now, right? Now, the selling price will be picked up. So it is 76.48. The exchange margin is given 0.15%. And it's what transaction? Buying transaction or selling transaction? It's selling transaction. And whenever it's related to the selling transaction and we are given with the exchange margin, the exchange margin is to be added up. Keep in mind. So it is 0.15%. So it is to be added up. So 76.48 plus 0.15%. So it is 76.59472. 59472. And we want to tell that what amount is to be paid by the importer. So multiplied by 50,000, because 50,000 worth demand draft was to be issued. So the answer is 38 lakh 29,736. this amount is to be paid. Right? I hope that you must have understood the logics. I'm pretty sure that you must have understood the logic related to this question. Clear with it? Now let me just hide the next question data from you. First of all, let me just hide the next question data for it from you so that you can be answering it. Let me just do the needful. Okay. Okay. I just have concealed the data related to what type of the rate would be applicable, and now just try to solve it. Now let's try to solve this question. Now the question says that on 26th of March 2024, importer has received an import bill for USD 50,000. He asks for the retirement of the bill. He asks for the retirement of the bill. I'll be explaining to you each and every concept. You just need to tell me that what rate is applicable. Okay. So we are talking about the retirement of the bill. Let me just give you the scenario that what is the retirement of bill. Let's say person A is the importer and person B is the exporter. So who draws the bill? Exporter draws the bill on person A. A accepted the bill and bill is returned back to person B, right? So bill of exchange was drawn. It was accepted by person B and returned back, right? That was the case. And let's say due date was after 3 months. Let's just assume that the due date which was mentioned on the bill of exchange was 3 months. Okay. But after 2 months, let's say, or the period before the due date of the bill of exchange, A decided so as to pay off the balances. So A connected with their bank. Let's say XYZ is a A's country bank. Okay. So A decided so as to connect with the bank, XYZ bank, and further so as to pay the amount in advance. So whatever the amount which was to be due after 3 months, A decided so as to pay this amount in advance. This whole process is said to be the retirement of the bill. This is said to be the retirement of bill. So XYZ bank will be connected with the counterpart in the B's country. Let's say it's a PQR bank, right? And further the amount shall be paid to the person B here. The amount shall be paid to the person B here. Okay. So this is a transaction that is going to be there. But if we look at the deep inside the transaction, person A is the importer who is not having the foreign currency and but having the INR. He is having the INR and he wants to buy the foreign currency. And in this scenario, he is to buy 50,000 USD. He is to buy 50,000 USD. That is to be done, right? And whenever the customer wants to buy or the customer is basically there in the transaction, then the merchant rate would be applicable, that we know. So in this scenario also, what rate would be applicable? It is a merchant rate. It is a merchant rate applicability. Okay. So what quote will be given? So customer wants to buy, right? So what rate will be given? It is a selling quote which will be given by the bank. Selling quote. So as for the transaction, so as for selling the USDs upfront for the payment purposes, the selling quote will be applicable. And this would be the same day transaction or some other day transaction. This will be the same day transaction. Why? Because XYZ Bank simply would be debiting the Nostro account and will be crediting it to the customer's account. That's it. Right? So it's a TT rate which will be applicable for the selling of the USDs. So I can be writing over here that the first part it's related to selling the foreign currency or selling the Forex. That's the first leg. In that scenario, the TT rate would be applicable and quote given is the selling quote. So it's a selling TT selling price or TT selling rate which will be applicable. What was the formula related to it? Very easy. Spot rate And in case of selling, the exchange margin is to be added up or subtracted? The exchange margin is to be added up. Exchange margin would be added up. Now, even after the USDs are now available on behalf of the customer, definitely it's going to take time so as to adjust the account of the person B. It's going to take time. So there's a lag between it. So after that, the exchange margin related to the bills selling rate would be applicable, right? So the second case, it's related to settling the account with the exporter. Settling the account with exporter, that's the second leg that is to be done after purchasing, after selling the foreign currency to the customer, right? And that's a time lag. So bills rate would be applicable here. And bills, because it was a selling cost, so it's a bill selling rate which will be applicable there, right? So in this scenario, if we combine these two, what will be the formula? The formula would be the spot rate, the spot rate, further the TT selling rate exchange margin, right? Because it was a TT selling exchange margin. Further, the bills selling exchange margin, because after that the account is to be settled. So it is bills selling exchange margin. So this is how we are going to solve this question. So this will be the complete formula related to it, right? And this is what rate? This is a bills selling rate which will be applicable. It is the bills selling rate which will be applicable. Clear with it? Have you understood this point so far? Do confirm. Okay, so two kind of transactions was there, because when the importer will be purchasing the foreign currency, that will be an instantaneous transaction. That will be the same day transaction, and in that scenario there will be no lag. So that will be the TT transaction. And after that, when it is to be settled, it's going to take a while. So in that scenario, the bills rate would be applicable. Now, what rate would be applicable in this scenario? The customer wanted to buy, and the customer will be able to buy at a price at which the bank is ready to sell. So it will be the selling cost. So it will be the exchange margin as per the selling rate. Okay. So the related formula for this case is this one. That is bills selling rate is equal to spot rate plus TT selling exchange margin plus bills selling exchange margin. So if you have to solve this question, answer is very much easier. Spot rate is given to be 72.30, 72.40. The selling rate is to be considered. So it is 72.40, 72.40, right? And for the, first of all, the TT selling rate, exchange margin 0.145%. That is to be calculated. Keep in mind, first of all, you have to solve this bracket plus the other one. That is 0.20%. That's related to the bills selling exchange margin, right? So it is 72.4 plus 0.15% plus 0.2%. That is 72.6536. 72.6536. This will be the answer. This will be the answer. Okay. Now after that, let's solve the other question. Very important one again. All these questions are very much important. Let's have a look at it. It says 1 USD is equal to this one. 2-month forward is given. And if person A want to remit the 10,000 after 2 months, what will be the cost to person A? We want to calculate the cost to person A. So A want to remit money. A want to remit money. You just tell me first of all that what rate would be applicable. That what rate would be applicable. It will be the bills rate or it will be the TT rate, which will be applicable. Now A want to remit, but the person wants to remit after what time period? Not today. It's after 2 months period. So definitely bills rate would be applicable in a sense, right? And A want to remit means A want to buy the USDs. Now A will be able to buy the USDs at the price. The bank will be quoting the selling price. So the quote will be given, that the selling quote will be given. So it is a selling quote which will be given by the bank here. Okay. So it's a bill selling rate, we can say it will be applicable. It's a bill selling rate which will be applicable. And the spot rate given over here is, the spot rate is given to be 1 USD is equal to 76.10 slash 30. This is the buying rate. This is the selling rate. Okay. This is buying rate. This is selling rate. And also 2-month forward points are given. These are given to be 45 slash 35. We have to consider which one, the buying rate or the selling rate. Do answer. Do answer. You should be participating. You should be answering the points here so that you can learn much more. So it is the selling quote which was to be given now. So it is the 76.30. That's the selling rate. Selling rate is to be considered. I told you that why selling rate is considered, because selling quote is to be given. So selling rate is 76.30. And if we look at the forward points after 2 months, there is a trend from left to right of decreasing, or simply we can say the selling forward points are lesser than the buying forward points, means the currency is available at discount after a period of 2 months. The currency is available at discount. And when we say the currency is available at discount, the forward points are to be subtracted. Which forward points? The selling forward points. So 0.35, these are the selling forward points. And these selling forward points are to be subtracted. So it is 75.95 if I'm not wrong. 75.95. So what will be the cost to person A? It is 75.95 multiplied by 10,000. So it is 759500, right? So that will be the cost to the person A. Okay. Now let's solve one more question. Question is again related to the foreign exchange, arithmetics. So Forex rate in Mumbai is USD 1 is equal to 68.1030. So we are provided with the 1 USD price equal to 68.10 slash 30 INR. That is given to you. In UK, 1 euro, 1 euro we are talking about is given to be 1.05 slash 1.10 USD. This is given to you. An exporter wants to discount the export bill of euro 10,000. Exporter wants to discount. I told you about the discounting or purchasing of the bill. When it is about the discounting or purchasing of the bill from the customer point of view, it means you are owner of this foreign currency and you want to sell this foreign currency, right? So if a bill is available with the customer A amounting 10,000 euro, the customer is going to the bank XYZ. Customer want to basically sell these euros. Customer want to sell, and bank will be giving the quote. The what quote will be given? Because the merchant rate is applicable. When customer is dealing, merchant rate is applicable. So customer will be able to sell at a price at which the bank is ready to buy. So it's a buying quote which will be given by the bank. Buying quote given by the bank, right? So buying quote is to be given. Clear with it? And now you are having the euros with you. You are having the euros with you. There is no direct combination related to the euro to INR. The combination is related euro to USD and USD to INR, which is available. Now, first of all, you will be selling the euro and getting the USD, and then you'll be selling the USD and will be getting the INR. Now accordingly, we will be calculating the answers. Here the buying rate is given, here the selling rate is given. Buying rate is given, selling rate is given. The first rate would be related to that you will be selling the euros, right? You'll be selling the euros and you'll be selling the euros at a buying price. So what rate would be applicable from this statement? It is 1 euro is equal to 1.05 USD, right? It is 1 euro is equal to 1.05 USD. Now, once you are having the USDs with you, you'll be selling the USDs from the second equation. So the rate is to be picked up is basically you are to sell and you will be able to sell at a price at which the bank is ready to buy. So again, the buying cost would be applicable. So it is 68.10 INR. That's it. Now, can you be equating these two? Not so far. We have to make this equation in a manner that we can be equating these two. So it will be equal to 1 divided by 1.05 and further euro and is equal to 1 USD. Now you can be equating these two sides. So from these two, we can be saying that it will be 68.10 INR is equal to 1 divided by 1.05 euro. And it implies that 68.10 multiplied by 1.05 is equal to euro divided by INR. And this was the rate that you wanted to calculate. So it is quite simple. 68.1 multiplied by 1.05, that is 71.505. This is the euro to INR cost that you have calculated. And how much amount will be given to the exporter? How much amount? Just multiply it with 10,000. So it is 715050. This amount will be given to the exporter. I hope that you must have understood the concepts related to it. If clear, so do like the video and further share the video at the earliest, and simply just do write CAIB. If you want to get the complete pack, complete course related to all the 5 papers of the CAIB, just simply do WhatsApp CAIB and WhatsApp it to the number 83609 I'll be sharing the complete details to you, like, and you'll be getting the full course videos, chapter wise previous year questions, mock test, mega test, PDF notes, each and everything. The case study videos will also be covered, right? So that will be all. Thank you so much and see you again in the next video.